Denton Enterprise Airport.
Automated weather observation 2353 Zulu. Wind 150 at 11. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 36 Celsius. Dew point 18 Celsius. Altimeter 299.5. Remarks. Density altitude 3,200.
Denton ground, good day. Cherokee 8064 Whiskey, taxi is single. We're on Hotel Short of Bravo with the numbers VFR to the northeast.
Cherokee 8064 Whiskey, Denton ground, runway 18, taxi via Bravo Alpha, current altimeter 2995.
299518 via Bravo and Alpha, 64 Whiskey.
What up, buddy?
What up, man?
Just chilling.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Flying Controller. Today I'm flying with Fort Worth Center Controller Glenn, and we're going to be talking the differences between Tower, TRACON, and Center. Here we go. For the purposes of this flight, Glenn will be doing the aviating and navigating. I'll be doing all the communicating. Engine craps out. We'll use our best judgment, but are you IFR?
No.
So you're just PPL. How many hours?
180.
Okay. That's okay, cool. If the engine craps out while we're on the runway, we'll pull back and we'll stop. If we're in the air and we have runway remaining, we will do an aborted takeoff. We'll try to come back and land. If we're high enough, this is Texas, there's fields everywhere, and also we can entertain returning at that point. Denton Tower, Cherokee 8064 Whiskey, ready for departure, runway 18 northeast.
Cherokee 8064 Whiskey, Denton Tower, left turn approved, runway 18 clear for takeoff, the wind is 160 at 10.
18 clear for takeoff, left turn out approved, 64 Whiskey.
Cessna 851, runway 18, cleared to land.
Sorry, right, clear to land, 851, thank you.
Alright, get your mixture, yep. Cabin air, let's put that on for sure. Let's make it happen.
Alrighty, airspeed is
building,
coming alive. There's 60. There's 70. And we're going to rotate.
Don't forget your trim is on the ceiling.
Yeah. It's weird.
Cool.
Did you say left turn out?
Yep, left turn out approved.
Alright, yeah, I usually wait till I get over the departure end numbers and get a little bit of altitude, but we're almost there.
Back City wanted to change the touch goes, is that right?
Remember going that way, we're going to go this way.
Maple back, roger, change to 17, runway 17, clear touch and go.
Change to 17, clear touch and go, April, Quebec.
There we go.
We need to stay below,
oh, we're good, 3,500 feet.
3,500, is it okay?
Yeah, by the time we get up there. Like right now it's 34,000 is the top, so yeah, you're good. Hey guys, welcome back. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about the differences, main differences between Tower, TRACON, and Center. So pilots are taught that there's these different facilities. Flight service is not an air traffic facility, but they do handle flight plans and weather information. Hazardous weather information also. But I wanted to go over the main differences and the main principles for people that may be unaware of Tower, TRACON, and Center. So I'm a tower controller. I have 10 years of tower experience. Glenn has... why don't you just run through it real quick, because I'm not even going to sound like an idiot. Go ahead and run through how you started and where you are now.
So I started out in the Navy. 3 years on an aircraft carrier, air traffic.
Oh, by the way, your flight controls.
6.5 years down in Corpus Christi at a tower. They did not have a TRACON, but they did have some radar positions, per se. Got out of the Navy, did 5 years in Abilene, where I was a tower and approach controller. That was my first approach control, 5 years there. Then got picked up at Fort Worth Center and been there for 15 years.
Okay, so you've been around the block.
A few times.
So he's been around the block. I have tower-only experience. I did 6.5 years in the Air Force at Tyndall Tower in Panama City Beach, or on the other side of Panama City. And then I was at TME down in Houston for 9 months. No radar. It was literally tower only, not even a radar. I had flight aware, and that didn't even work. So it was a lot of safe position, safe position. And then I've been at Meacham for the past 3 years. So how convenient we're in the same area. So I'm gonna try to talk about the tower stuff. Glenn has the experience, so he can chime in on that. But when it comes to the TRACON, so your approach controllers, when you're talking to an approach, it's more of a TRACON most of the time, or a RAPCON in the Air Force, or a RACCF, I believe, in the Navy. And then center is a completely different beast. I'm going to let him deal with those, but I'll start with the tower. So the tower, at least the Meacham Tower, VFR Tower, we have a radar screen, but we use it for traffic only, like issuing traffic calls. You know, we handle in and out of the airport surface, so we handle the runways, we handle the taxiways. We give IFR clearances. That's the main thing, you know, ground taxi clearances, and then when you're talking to the tower controller, you're talking to the local controller, and that person handles everything on the runways and up in the entire Class D. In terms of perspective, I have a lot less airspace to worry about than Glenn does when he generally goes to work. In the tower, the coverage on the radar is fed, in Meacham's case, from D10 regional approach control. So we don't have a specific radar in the facility that we see. Our feed is from them, so we see exactly what they see, and that's why we can only give traffic calls. You'll never hear radar contact from Meacham Tower, at least you shouldn't. The radar coverage, at least in the Metroplex area, is pretty good. Depending on the day of the week and the weather, believe it or not, anything below 1,000 feet MSL normally will drop off the radar. So Meacham's elevation is about 710 feet, and below 1,000 feet, generally you don't pop up on the radar. So for the departures, they normally have to climb through 1,000 feet before they tag up on the radar screen, and then they go to the departure, of course. Now, that was just a brief overview of tower. I could sit here and yap about it for a long time. So I'll let Glenn go into a radar, or TRACON, or as some pilots know it, approach controls, and then that and center. So
yeah, so from an approach control standpoint, basically right after they depart, handled from the tower, we get them on as far as the TRACON. So if you were departing Abilene, you would work Abilene Tower, then Abilene Approach. Same facility, but we're downstairs in the radar room. Radar's pretty good. Single site radar. It generally is the same thing you're going to see in the tower. Anything below 1,000 feet, that's about when it starts to pop up. And most approach controllers are probably about a 30 to 40 mile radius as far as the area that they work.
And the coverage normally is a little bit more than that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so center radar is a little different. Center radar is what's known as a mosaic radar. One of the positions that I work at in the Glen Rose specialty is called Abilene Midland. From east to west, it's about 250 miles. Ooh. From Winkler, Texas to about Eastland, Texas. If you take a look at that on a map,
that's a lot of space.
It's a lot of airspace. There's approach controls under it, but so the mosaic radar is quite a few different radar sites that are overlaid onto one display. That's the main reason for the separation difference. If you are at an approach control and you're on an IFR flight plan departing, let's say Matt here is going from Abilene to DFW. If he's inside Abilene Approach's airspace, it's 3 miles. Once he gets handed off to the center, it's 5 miles. Yeah. The main reason, now there's a whole lot of other rules, but if you're on a single site radar within 40 miles, 3 mile separation. Outside of that, multiple feed, 5 mile separation. So that's some of the biggest differences.
Yeah, it brings up a good point. Yeah, in the VFR Tower environment, my separation is not like yours, and my airspace is significantly smaller. However, you have a lot of airspace, so you have a lot of space to mess with lots of airplanes. I have smaller airspace, and it's kind of a different complexity in time when it comes to that. Also, your center stuff, your radar screen updates every 10 seconds, right?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Mine's every second, so there's a main difference from there. Wow, interesting. That's some good stuff.
7 Quebec Hotel, you can stay on the runway to Alpha 5.
Been really smooth today.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Traffic 1 o'clock, 3 miles, 1,100 feet below us. looking. He's right in front of us now. There he is. Got him. Got him inside. Okay, cool. So that's interesting. So, and now you're at center, so a lot of that stuff is increased, and just a lot more complicated stuff that goes into center. So, so that goes into the kind of the next question. So, what are some of your biggest pet peeves in the center? And then I'll tell you a few of mine in the tower.
You know, the center, a lot of it is just blind call-ups for flight following. Maybe not listening to how busy that controller is, and them trying to get, you know, a word in edgewise. If they're that busy, they might be too busy for flight following. I guess another thing is a lot of the more junior controllers that maybe aren't as familiar with aviation as the more senior ones are, or pilots, they may not know what an Aztec is, or they might not know what a Cherokee 6 is. So sometimes it's better to say, hey, I'm a PA-32, or
the identifier.
Skywagon, if you're a Cessna 185 looking for flight following. That way we don't have to inquire, hey, what's your aircraft identifier? Makes it a little bit quicker. Hey, I'm a Skywagon versus I'm a 175 looking for flight following to whatever your destination is. Makes it a little bit easier.
That does make sense, and it does the same thing for the tower when they call up, and if I don't have the call sign memorized, then I'll be like, okay, what kind of airplane are you flying?
Right.
I'm flying this, and I know most of them, but yeah, with experience. And then the rest, some of them are just like, I'm a this, and I'm like, what is, okay, you're an experimental now.
What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. You know, the main reason we do that as controllers is for differences in performance. So, you know, if he's trying to vector someone onto an ILS out in the middle of nowhere, and he's putting a who knows what in front of a 747, that may be a conflict, you know? So maybe that's a little bit over-exaggerating. In the tower, a great example is if I've gotten a few that come back from regional approach and they're tagged up wrong, but immediately the first thing I look at is, does the type of airplane correspond, does it relate to the speed? So if I see C-172, 100 knots, 110 knots over the ground, something like that, PA-28, same thing. And it's understood. I've had, but if they're not talking on flight following, which we do have a few airplanes that meet them that are experimentals. There's a Lancer, there's a Harmon rocket. They come back and they go out, no flight following. A lot of their flights are to and from or out and back real quick, so they don't mess with it. And that's fine, you know, we know who they are, but when they're on the radar doing 260 knots over the ground,
yeah,
you know, it kind of tells us, like, okay, we know what kind of airplane that is. Cool. So the next question that I kind of had, again, I'm tower only, so he's the radar center guy. So does your radar pick up powered parachutes, gliders, LSAs, even light sport aircraft? Do they pick that stuff up? I haven't. Me personally in the tower, I have not seen. I think I've seen the radar pick up a gyrocopter once.
Yeah. Some of the smaller targets that are out there might be a little bit more difficult for it to pick up. You were talking about at an approach control or a tower 1,000 feet off the ground, it's going to start picking it up. And I'll give you an example. Out towards Brownwood, which is an area that we work, a lot of traffic coming in and out of Brownwood, we don't pick them up until they're 4,000 feet off the ground. The center radar is not near as good as approach control radar as far as off the ground. You need to be a little bit higher. As far as picking up gliders and light sports and things like that, I have seen a few events that they've had out towards Hobbs, New Mexico, one of the areas that we work. A lot of gliders out there, and they'll have events where they fly, so you might see a few stray targets here and there. It's kind of hit or miss. Some of the smaller planes like that, yeah, a little more difficult to pick up. So probably not too different in that aspect as far as a TRACON or a tower radar.
Okay, well, that answers that question. You've worked at VFR Tower.
I have. And
you've worked at a tower with radar downstairs. Is there a big difference between that? Because I haven't done that. I just worked at a VFR. I've worked at VFR Towers.
You know, the VFR, the tower, as far as with an approach control, it's pretty cool because I'm assuming at Beecham you would have to call for an IFR release.
We actually have it automated to where we go on to the keyboard, which we don't have a QWERTY keyboard. If I can find a picture, I'll put one right here.
ARTS keyboard?
Yeah, ARTS keyboard. So we'll do F13 and then the squawk,
Okay.
and then enter, and it flashes on our screen. When a regional approach releases the airplane, it'll solid green, it'll steady solid green, and that's released. Sometimes that doesn't work.
Automated release.
Yeah, automated release, and when it doesn't work, we call in the shout line, hey, request release, here's the squawk, here's where he's going, type airplane, in old school style.
Gotcha.
And
so just an example, a difference of one that has a TRACON, a smaller one like Abilene, we have automatic release procedures as long as they are on a specific set of headings. So I could have 2 or 3 or 4 IFR departures. I can launch them at will without having to call and request a release. It's in our letter of agreement between the radar controller and the tower controller.
Cool.
And we would generally fan them out.
based on the headings.
Yeah, to give the approach controller something to work with.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That works for sure.
So
I've been asked this question. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let my more experienced counterpart here answer. How does your transponder tie into radar? I mean,
so you get a primary and a secondary return on the screen. The primary return is a little slash. The secondary radar is a beacon code. You're squawking, it is tied to you, and what we see is a data tag that is associated with that beacon slash, or the primary target underneath. It follows along with whatever you're doing. If you're on an IFR flight plan, they give you a code to squawk. It shows the code. It shows everything about your flight, your altitude, your call sign, where you're going, and the CID. It's a pretty important part of it. You full route that CID, I get any information I want on it. So it's all based on the transponder code.
Okay.
Very important piece.
I was pretty sure that was going to be my answer as well. Blip is the word I use for the primary return, which I haven't heard in a while. Speaking about transponders kind of leads on to the follow-on question of, hey, it's 2020 and I haven't gotten my transponder in my airplane. Can I still fly in the Mode C Vail or into a Class D? So into a Class D airport, I need two-way radio communication. That's it. However, Meacham is within the 30 nautical mile Vail around the DFW Metroplex, so you are required to have it for that. If you don't have it, I would call the facility in question that you're going to be going towards and ask them what they recommend. A lot of the soups will give you the specifics, but it can be done. However, you need to do the right process before you just go and do it, or whoops, sorry. You may hear transponder appears in operative reset. I personally like to add on, squawk VFR on altitude, because some people, they don't have one like this, they'll have one of those turn ones and they'll be on ground, and I'll just see a blip and I'll say transponder appears in operative reset, squawk VFR on altitude, or IFR, squawk your squawk. And then they'll just fix it, or they'll say, oh, I need to get this worked on, or whatever.
About the only other thing that I've experienced from a center controller to maybe tower controllers that's the biggest difference, this is from an aviation pilot standpoint. I'm not sure why a lot of pilots new pilots I'll say, seem to be intimidated by calling the center. I don't know what the difference is.
I've heard that also.
We're all controllers.
Yeah, we're people too.
Yeah.
And we're flying an airplane at the moment. But I've gotten that as well. Oh, you're a controller, I'm intimidated, and you guys go and check out Taking Off with my friend Dan. He was initially, before he met me, he was a little intimidated by talking to controllers. However, ever since he's gotten to know me, it's like, we're just people doing a job, separating, keeping everybody safe and whatnot. I don't know why people get to the point of being intimidated. I partially see they're intimidated because of maybe the workload. You not necessarily know, especially the newer pilots, and that's fine with newer pilots, but after about 50 hours to 100, in my opinion, it could be different. You should have your stuff in order when it comes to the radios. Don't fly near Class B unless you got some experience. If you need to take a friend flying, take a friend flying. If you guys have a problem with ATC, you do what's necessary for safety of flight and landing the airplane. That's the top of your priority list. Nothing else matters. If it comes to the operation of the airplane, you need to safely do it, and if you need to speak up to ATC, do it. If it can be done on the ground, that's your decision as pilot in command to make, and you land the airplane safely again, and call on the ground, call the facility in question, ask what the heck was going on if you have problems, or even if you don't have problems. I've encouraged a lot of my pilot friends, hey, if you got questions, call Meacham, call the tower, here's the number, and just call them, and they'll just, hey, I had some questions about this, if you got got a minute.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask for the phone number either.
Yeah, no, yeah, especially that'll freak ATC out. Pilots get the phone number for a batteries, and ATC gets the number, and we're like, what do we do? You know, but it's a good thing. Make sure the first thing you tell the controller, and sometimes it's center is probably going to be a supervisor.
More than likely.
You know, at Meacham Tower, some of this COVID-19, you know, stuff going on, they're not going to have the manning like normal. So the first thing you tell them is, hey, I'm a pilot in the local area. I had some questions if you have some time, because they may not have the time, or they may just, you know what, I don't have time. I'm going to transfer you to someone that can help you better, or help you more immediate, or I'll have someone call you back. You know, just get that point across first, and then roll with it. Ask questions. Class D ahead. I know we're approaching the Class D. That brings up a question for the tower controller. I've been asked. I'm coming in VFR. How far out should I call? Obviously before you enter the airspace, but if I had a specific number, in my humble opinion, around 10 miles.
Yeah.
Nothing before 15, because then I have to scroll my radar out and find you, and then I'm like, you're way far out of my airspace. Contact this person if you need services. 10 miles is a good norm, especially for Meacham, because there's got Navy next door, Alliance up top, Spinks down the bottom, and downtown. So it's a little bit of a clustered area. So 10 miles is a good number for that. I can't really ask that question for a center guy. How many miles out do you want me to go outside the airspace?
Yeah, we got a 250-mile scope on one of them.
Land 18 and roll down 6 for 99 kilo.
Denton Tower, Cherokee 8064, Whiskey 10 miles to the east. Inbound, full stop with the numbers.
Cherokee 064 Whiskey to Chair, report 4 east to left base 18.
4 east for left base to 1864 Whiskey.
Alright, I'm just going to follow along.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right here.
4 mile left base is what I heard, so you do you.
Down a little bit lower, down to 25.
And the field's in sight, it's obviously right up there.
I don't know that I've come from this direction. I've always come from the west.
Well, you learn something new every day, Sir Glenn.
Yeah.
I'm going to richen you up just a little bit here.
Thank you, sir.
Cherokee 64 Whiskey, keep your speed up, direct the base, get you in front of a Seneca 7-mile final.
You cool with that?
Yeah.
All right, 64 Whiskey, we'll keep the speed up and we'll go toward a little bit shorter base.
And Seneca 80 Hotel, plan to follow Cherokee.
All right, so if you're comfortable with it, speed us in toward like a 2-mile base.
I'm on the baseline. I'll report
Safety permitting.
8 Leco. And our Seneca 28 Leco is pink inbound, ILS 18 to a full stop.
Seneca 8 Hotel, roger. Just continue for 18 and reduce to approach speed. The Cherokee's inside the dorms now, left base.
Copy, still looking for traffic, and we had a slow speed right now, 8 Leco.
Okay, you're good to 80 to, he's at 120, it should work out.
Copy, 8 Leco.
64 Whiskey, just confirm 18 cleared 2 land, Seneca's just outside of a 4-mile final.
64 Whiskey, 18 clear to land. We do have the traffic in sight, and we'll keep it up until the last second. I got him out there.
Gotcha.
Yep, he's about 3 miles away. I think we should be able to fit right in front of him. As long as you keep, just keep this heading or closer if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable doing something, tell ATC sooner rather than later.
Right.
Hashtag unable. All right, you're at nearly pattern altitude. I'd go completely out, lose your speed. You're going in more full rich in the event of a go-around.
Alrighty.
Gas, good. Mixture, I just did. Undercarriage is down welded.
Hotel, Cherokee's 11 o'clock, 2 miles, number 2, runway 18.
Propeller, unneeded.
Copy, got Cherokee in sight, number 2, runway 18 clear to land, Seneca 28 Leco.
You're not still speeding a little bit, that's fine. Wind check.
And wind 130 at 7.
Roger. Got a little bit of a left crosswind. Yeah. He's back there. Plenty of separation. Hey, they got the rabbits on it. Barely ever have the rabbits on. You gonna go no flaps?
1 notch.
Okay.
Get there.
You're in the white arc.
We're there. There's 1 notch.
Center Tower, Cessna 5442, Bravo, 10 miles north, inbound for football with numbers.
That's a 5442, Bravo, didn't tower, straight into 18, reported 4-mile final.
Straight in wide, report 4-mile final, 40 Bravo.
You need any trim?
I think I'm alright.
Alright, cool. My feet are clear of the rudders. A little bit of a left crosswind. That works.
Plenty of time to take it down to 4, Matt.
Second.
Plenty of time to take it down to 4.
64 Whiskey will left turn it out 4.
64 Whiskey, left it out 4. Contact ground, see you, buddy.
Left it out 4, we'll contact ground. See you, Zach. Thanks.
All right.
Let's get this door open. There we go.
Ah, that feels so good.
Yeah.
That worked out perfect. You see that?
Yeah, hashtag runway separation. Ground 8064 Whiskey's off Alpha 4, going to the T hangars off the hotel.
Trick 8064 Whiskey, then ground tax straight ahead. Bravo to hotel.
Bravo to hotel, 64 Whiskey. See ya!
See ya!
Yeah! Thanks, guys, for coming back to the flying controller and looking at all the stuff. I appreciate the views, and subscribe and like it if you like. Notifications if you really want to. If you guys have questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comments down below. And if you have an idea for something that I can go over, if I can't go over it with confidence myself, I'll find a controller like Glenn, and we'll go over it together if I have to. I appreciate the ideas and the support. You guys stay tuned for the next one. Don't know when it'll be. Hopefully within the next month or so. Yeah, it was a good flight, Glenn.
Absolutely.
It was freaking good. Thanks for coming out and flying.
Anytime.
We'll see you guys on the next one. You guys fly safe.